Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a mega cat special. I've been doing a lot of portraits lately, and most of those have just been one cat and one person. Cats are really fun to draw, especially since their fur can often look really abstract, and it's usually just made up of blotches of color. Every cat looks a little bit different though, so when it comes to the kind of combinations you can find out in the wild, you're going to get lots of different variations. The first cat that I decided to work on is from Instagram, and her name is Chi. She's a friend's cat. She's got this great look of either fright or astonishment on her face. She's also very young, it looks like, and that element of kittenness makes her look like a tiny creature in a very big world. I wanted to make sure to capture those elements of her personality and situation, while also making the environment look a little out of this world while still retaining the overall structure of the composition. As usual, when I first get into the early stages of the piece, I want to lay down some defining lines to create the skeleton. I always look for an object that will basically give me an anchor that I can weigh all the other bits down, so I can make sure everything aligns properly. As long as the entirety of the piece is faithful to the original, I feel like I can celebrate when it's finally time to hide my signature somewhere on it. I feel like the litter box was a solid starting point, since it's easy to build off of. It's in the foreground, but it isn't the focus, so I can be a little bit more hazy about the details, and still leave the central figure as the star of the show. Once the composition has been laid down, I get into the inking stage, which is a lot of fun when it comes to cats. Because their fur is just so often blotches of color, it gives me a lot of creative freedom. I want it to be pretty accurate, but at the same time, even if it's not perfect, it's still going to look pretty reasonably similar as long as the colors are close to the original. Chi has a very simple palette of just 3 colors, basically white, black, and an orangey brown. Aside from that, I bring in a cool gray to add some shadows into the fur, to add that extra level of lighting and dimension. With Chi colored in, I got to work on the background, filling in the back window with black to give it a proper nighttime feel. I used 2 other shadows of blue around the outside of the window frame, and then colored the bed in with orange. I always love using complementary colors when I can, and by using cooler blues in the background and warm orange in the foreground, it might help to emphasize their physical location in the space and establish some distance while still looking unreal. One of the most common threads throughout all of my work is my tendency to find some space in the picture to add in tightly spaced lines. I just love how they look, and they feed into my desire for complexity in my work. I went with purples and pinks, which come off feeling like a bizarre cosmic wallpaper. I went with gray and yellow for the litter box, trying to make it look neutral and boring. Important, but not very significant. The bedsheet I had more fun with though. I love using these curvy contour lines to create a feeling of fabric in the space, and I also enjoy the way the red looks. A little more work to the window frame, and this piece was completed. This piece was simple but very enjoyable. I felt like the background provided a lot of space for creative license, so I just let my imagination and instincts take me where they wanted to go. I'm a big fan of the expression on Chi-Chi's face too, so wide-eyed and wary. My other favorite part is probably the window. It's got a lot of little things going on that won't be seen at a glance. With a small army of new portraits under my belt, I started to seek out new challenges. My friend from Instagram, Earl, is a big cat lover, just like V and I are. He's got a team of cute mischief makers that he shows off on Instagram, and these cats are just so cute. I'm always happy to see them show up on the timeline. And since I've been working to improve my portrait skills, I really wanted to test my skills with different skin tones and different cat fur patterns. Since he has so many different pictures of his cats on his timeline, I searched around and narrowed it down to this particular portrait of Earl and Harley, their faces close together like they were busy sharing secrets. The initial sketch wasn't far off from the final product, though as always, lots of minute adjustments had to be made. These small details are what really make the picture feel accurate, so I try my hardest to correct my lines as I go. That's one reason I love the InShot app so much, since I can import a picture into the program and check it against the original as I go. I can't say I've seen anyone else work like this before, but I do feel it's helped me a lot, and I think I've been able to improve my drawing abilities. I'm always happy to have the pencil sketch done with, because that's one step closer to actually applying the color, which is my favorite part. Sometimes my hands get really shaky when I'm doing the line work too, so I have to be careful not to go too quickly. Now for the eraser. It always feels kind of magical seeing the pencil just disappear, and then just being left with really nice clean line work. I decided that before I went in on trying to do the skin tone, I really needed to experiment and just see what the colors from the portraits that I got would look like when they were mixed together. I'm still relatively new at learning how to blend my colors together, so I was a little nervous about it. I spent some time with V placing a base coat of ivory down, then bringing in some pale tan and cream for the midtones. Finally, dusty pink was the darkest color I tried. I experimented a bit, and found that ivory, cream, and dusty pink were the best bet I had to try to replicate Earl's skin tone. Just like on my swatch page, I laid down a base coat of ivory around the entire skin surface. I followed it up with cream for the midtone, adding it into the shadowed areas, then brought in the dusty pink to layer into the darkest areas. I blended between these three colors to finally achieve the skin tone. For the markers I have at the moment, this was the best I was able to achieve, but I do really like the look. After that, I switched over to colored pencils for the hair. He has very silvery and white hair, so colored pencils seem like a fitting approach to make it look soft, and give it the appearance of having lots of strands of similar gray, but with variations in the shades. I tested out various pencils until I found a core group of about 7 different grays. I alternated between these to create the layered look, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results. I haven't used a lot of colored pencils before, but it did give me exactly what I was hoping for with the softness of the lines. Next, it was time to color in Harley. His coat is very bright, and the color isn't far off from the value of the skin tone, so I opted to shift a little and used more orange and yellows, so the value would be consistent with the skin tone, but still have its own color. As I went in, I added some more aggressive coloring with the pale tan to create darker variation on the fur, then added green to the eyes to catch the attention of the viewer. I brought in some very aggressive orange for the tip of the undershirt that can be seen, and then a very dried up blue that I felt gave the shirt a sense of texture. The marker was super dried up though, so I was barely able to make it through the entire shirt. I added in some darker blue for the folds and made a lot of blue lines to create a sense of the threading of the shirt. The final step was the background. I decided to go for a wallpaper effect again, and used a gradient of purples and pinks to make a pattern that would basically loop back on itself. I love this piece so much. I think Earl and Harley are absolutely precious together, and seeing them laid out in living color brings me a ton of joy. Earl is such a cool guy. He plays guitar in his living room and rocks out. He paints these really interesting and unusual pieces with very nice skills, and he's got a great sense of humor. It's also nearing his birthday, I think, so happy birthday, Earl. So I want to thank you for coming on this art journey with me. We've had a catastic time, and I hope you enjoyed it. Now, I know your birthday's coming up soon, so I've heard, and I thought it'd be great if I could get you some kind of a present. And honestly, I think I thought of the perfect thing. In fact, I have a couple of helpers here who are going to look for your present. It's in this deck of cards. So let me just spread this out. Okay, so I do have a couple of helpers here. We're gonna go ahead and separate these out. All right, so have my couple of helpers here. Now, I think they've seen your present. I'm pretty sure they've seen it in here. So we're gonna go ahead and just see if maybe we can find it. Just like that. Okay, so I think with any luck. Oh, yep, okay, so they found the I know it looks just like every other card in here, but I swear it's a present. So let's see what they found. Oh yeah, look, it's a present. It's got your name on it and everything. That's how we know that it's really yours. So what I want to do though is, I think that, it's time that you actually opened your present up. So we're gonna take that and we're just gonna give it a shake.
Whoa.
And look, there is a present. It's a whole nother picture.
Vlad and Precious.
So let's go ahead and check it out. So for the final piece, I decided to work on this great picture of Vlad and Precious. I couldn't find a picture with everyone together, but I think this worked out even better. I had some issues with the sketch initially. Vlad didn't turn out too weird for the starting drawing, but Precious looked like some kind of creepypasta Pikachu. After a little bit of in-shot magic though, I was able to eventually correct the lines and make things look a whole lot more like they were supposed to. One of the bigger challenges was just getting the folds of the beanbag chair to look properly beanbaggy. There are a lot of deep curves in it that can be a little tricky to place, but they are also very abstract in their own right. The process overall is largely the same as in the other pieces. Finish the sketch, set up the line work, break out the eraser, and then clean everything up to prepare for coloring. With black cats, an interesting challenge is created. I could either color the cat in straight black and be done with it, or I could go the more interesting route and give myself a sore wrist in pursuit of making him entirely out of stippling, which is one of my favorite techniques ever. It does come at the cost of my own vitality, but the effort was absolutely worth it. I started out with black, and I filled in most of the space with a million dots. Then I switched over and used a number of different colors to fill in the rest of the space. It's not something that can easily be seen unless you get close and really look, but this creates a spectacular color that's not quite black, but shimmers with other shades. I love it. I started on Precious after, and used a few different colors to work on the blending. I think I used something like pale tan, natural brown, and dark brown, and then I blended out to get the coloring. After that, I shifted over to using different blues to create the fabric and lighting for the beanbag the cats were resting on. I brought in some fine liners to give a similar effect as Earl's shirt from the previous piece, cross-hatching and also helping to blend out some of the darker blues. The rest of the background followed, starting with the wall behind them that I turned into a window of sorts with cool gray, and then I did a bunch of stippling around it. I went back to the window and created a bunch of abstract lines. I was just playing around here trying to find a way to make it look interesting, and added in some more layers of cool gray to bring out extra dimension. The final part was the pillows at the bottom of the picture.
Oh, you added shadow to Count Vlad?
Yeah.
I love how the cat turned out. Looks like watercolor. The blending's getting better. Almost looks like Stories. Like Stories is darker. And this is more like ginger-ish. Looks like a patio in the background over here. There's a catio back there. Like, hey, what do you want? Love this. Oh, I love it. I love the way this, like, you said it's a beanbag, but it looks like, I don't know, it's like an abstract mass. Little chubs.
Yeah.
Oh, a little leg up or something. I don't know. It
Yeah,
looks
it's like
like it was in the middle of licking between its legs, and you caught it. Like what? Huh?
I did the white gel pen for the whiskers. I think they came out really nice.
Yeah.
They have a nice, and there was no whiskers on Vlad. It's literally just a black jelly bean cat, and just no whiskers, and they just disappear, swallowed up. by the void that is Vlad.
간직하고 싶어 그랜트 눈을 꼭 감았지 Dance now if you want me Let's start There's nobody here Look at how we are and to think we are So perfect pair in every way I don't wanna feel everything that was meant to be fated I don't wanna be your friend I just wanna be your bed I don't wanna fade away So I can't help but thinking underwater Dance now if you want me Let's start There's nobody here Look at how we are and to think we are So perfect pair in every way I don't wanna feel everything that was meant to be fated I don't wanna be your friend I just wanna be your bed
And that's it. I think that this family album is just too cute, and I love seeing them all together in one place. I am so happy I had the opportunity to get these pieces created, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing the process from beginning to the very end. Cats are awesome, and I love drawing them, and I will always love drawing them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and subscribe if you're so inclined. I'm trying to produce one video a week, and pretty much exclusively on Wednesdays. So, if you're in the market for more art and cats, and occasionally something else, please join me next week. Thank you, and I'll see you later. Bye.